We're a three-man show for a couple of hours today.
We are.
Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer, is here with us as we thank you for taking the time to listen, Chipper included. I don't want to speak for him, but you can listen for free all the time, including the Braves baseball 105 first pitch today as they take on the Philadelphia Phillies. A.J. Smith-Shawver is going to pitch. You can also watch the game on the MLB Network, but every spring training game is on the Fan app. You can listen to us, you can watch us, catch up on interviews. It's all driven to you by Beaver Toyota of Cumming, and Beaver Direct is the quickest and easiest way to shop for a car online. You've got 680thefan.com. You've got the X platform. Chipper, you're on Twitter, right? I think so.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
But
someone else handles it for you?
Yeah, there you go.
How many times have you been told to not be on Twitter?
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
Many times. Yeah.
All right. Will Austin Riley end up with more home runs than you?
I think so. I think he's
right out of the gate.
more of a thumper. He's more of a thumper than I. I'll probably have a little better on base and average, but he's we've been working on that home run swing for a few years now. Seems to be translating.
So if you want to follow Chipper on Twitter, at RealCJ10, is what I'm being told. There's the blue check there, so it's got to be official.
There is, but it's mostly run by my my team, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Team Chipper runs his X platform. Also at Matt Lear. I don't think the Road Dogg has any team. At Road Dogg 680, at Chris Dimino, at Cellini Nick, at 680 The Fan. Today's National Florist Day. I hate to do this in front of Chipper, but we do an X platform question of the day, Chipper. And today's question is, what is your favorite song about flowers? With it being, of course, National Florist Day.
You're just setting us up for a bad day. That's all. Again,
Don't I do that every day?
No, stop looking at that list. Maybe that's the thing. Stop looking at what day it is. Or maybe pick, go off the board a little bit.
I'll work on that.
Make something up.
But today
Nobody
it is
knows.
what it is.
Does that mean we don't have to listen to dumb songs on the way back in?
No, that's
quite the opposite.
Yeah, virtual Dimino, that's probably the polar opposite. That's what's going on today. So,
how much would you pay to have new legs? We talk about your feet. We talk about your knees.
You're not talking about magic legs, like Lieutenant Dan.
No. Like
just new legs.
At this point in your life.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where it's you think about quality of life moving forward, the inability to be able to, let's just say, play golf 2 days in a row, or be able to get out in the yard with the kids. You know, I went snowboarding in Beaver Creek, Colorado last week, and you know, you get up there and you make 3 or 4 runs in a day, and then you have a couple of pops at the bottom of the mountain. You wake up the next morning, you're like, man, I don't think I can go today. Yeah. You know? So, it's a concern, and I've got a knee replacement coming here pretty soon. So hopefully one of them will be fixed.
How big a kick do you get out of watching your kids do something like snowboard?
It's unbelievable. If you guys follow on Instagram, myself and my wife Taylor and some of her friends and some of my friends posted some videos of my 5 and my 7. My 5-year-old was going down blues on a snowboard, and my 7-year-old was going down double black diamonds on a snowboard. So I mean, they're really into it. My 13-year-old broke his wrist the first afternoon we were out there, but put it in a cast and went the other 4 days, like right down the hill. So
gotta be young.
Oh, no doubt.
It's great to be 40 pounds, built low to the ground with brand new knees. I would give anything to be able to experience that
a do
again.
over, as they say.
Well, Chipper Jones is going to be here with us, kind of co-hosting as we run through a bunch of different things, including the Braves. Now, a lot of people are asking, are you involved in any official capacity this year with the Braves?
I'm back to my special assistant job. You know, just basically being a sounding board, Alex using me to bump stuff off of. I felt like over the last couple of years with the home games, it was still a bit too much, you know, and I was still missing stuff. I wasn't able to go on some trips during the spring and the summer that I really wanted to with the family. And, you know, it's one of those situations where they have been absolutely great. Alex is like, we will take what we can get from you. I will still be in the clubhouse maybe once or twice a homestand, but it's not going to be that, you know, that kind of everyday mapped out thing. And that's really what I want. I just want to keep my foot in the door because I love the people that are in that clubhouse, whether it's players, coaching staff. I have the utmost respect for Alex and what he's done what he's established since he's gotten here. And I want to be a part of it, even if it is in a more diminished role.
If they send you video of a kid in A-ball, rookie ball, a high school kid, a college kid, how many swings do you need to see? I don't want to say pass judgment, but how many swings do you think? Yeah, you're passing judgment.
Yeah, it's probably 4 or 5.
Okay.
You know, I need to kind of have a little bit to draw upon. But normally within a couple of swings, I can kind of see if he's struggling, I can tell you why he's struggling. Yeah.
You obviously made the right choice. We talked to Jeff Francoeur. He was in studio with us yesterday in his podcast talking about athletes and parents and coaching young kids. But you were a football player as well. Do you ever allow yourself to think about, what if I stayed with football? What would have happened?
Well, yeah, I'd probably be more decrepit than I am now.
I mean, you made the right choice. There's no doubt about it.
You'd have had the knee replacement.
Yeah, 100%. It was, you know, football. I loved playing football. I loved Friday nights in the South. I loved wearing my jersey to school on Fridays. I loved pep rallies. I loved dating the cheerleaders and all that. Yeah, everything that goes along with playing football in the South. I didn't enjoy working at the game of football like I did baseball. I got away with it, you know, in high school because I was one of the top 1, 2, 3 athletes that were on the field. That would have been really different at the next level, you know, and as much as I would like to say that I could have played at the University of Miami, I wasn't really willing to see that through because I knew where my bread was buttered.
Well, your passion was baseball,
yes,
it sounds
100%,
like, too.
100%.
You were putting in the work there.
I felt like, you know, I was so close to living out my dream and becoming a pro baseball player. Why muddle it up with playing something that I wasn't passionate about?
If you were 4th-round talent, would it have been a tougher decision?
I think at that point, maybe so, because now if I'm a 4th-round talent, I can show people how versatile, you know, what kind of versatility I have.
If you were drafted in the 4th round, would you have gone to college? Or do you think you would have you would have?
100%.
Because you're supposed to play, for those that don't know, you did take a scholarship, right, at Miami, University of Miami, to play baseball.
Yes.
So where was the number for you? What would you have had to have been to not go to college?
It's hard to say. I wouldn't have really set a number because I really never saw myself playing the game for the money. I think obviously your signing bonus obviously would have made a big difference as somebody who didn't come from money. I'm not sure, you know, at that particular time, I think I got 250 maybe to sign. I can't even remember. I got whatever Ben McDonald got the year before plus like 25 grand. Okay. So it wasn't a huge jump, but you're going to make your money at the big league level. You got to get into the minor leagues. You got to sign your name. You got to get into the minor league system, and you got to go through the minor league process as quickly as possible. You can only do that coming out of high school. But 4th-round money doesn't really make it worth it to me to pass up going to college at a huge baseball school back in the day. Frazier was still the head guy there. They were going to Omaha year in and year out. Now, that being said, I would have had to stay for 3 years.
Right.
At a minimum. I could have been going through A-ball, AA, AAA at that particular time and been one step away from the big leagues, and that ultimately was what would have swayed me.
Did you have false bravado? You were out of the house because you went to bowls. For those that don't know, you were out of the house. Mm-hmm. Did you have a false bravado walking in because you said, well, I can live outside the house? You know, because there were some kids who were literally leaving, going to Bumtown, whatever, and have never been out of their homes.
Again, that was another advantage and another way my parents kind of prepared me for either college life or pro baseball life. I was living on my own, having to manage my time, my money, and my studies at 15 years old. You know, I didn't live at home 15, 16, 17, 18, you know? So I didn't have as much trouble adjusting to life in pro baseball as some other, the homesickness. I already went through that at 15, you know, the managing money. I already went through that at 15. How do I manage how I'm going to go through each day with my sleep, my rest, my professional career now. I've been doing that since I was 15 years old. So the adjustment was a little easier for me.
Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer, here in studio with us for a couple of hours. So you make your major league debut. We'll talk more about the Braves today. Obviously, you're here with us for a while, so we have to let it breathe. You understand?
Yeah. We're going to talk about the gutsy Hawks because that was a headline I read. The gutsy Hawks.
We have to cover that. We do have to cover that. Whoa. It could be a very interesting story, though, as we said late in the show yesterday.
100%.
Somewhere down the line, 100%. If this continues to play itself out.
And we got a guy, in case you don't know, Bill Hancock is going to join us. He's the head of the college football playoff thing.
He's the executive director.
Yeah, I don't know
his
what
official title.
He's semi-retired. I don't know what he is. Bill's been a friend of the show. We're going to go to 12. We're going to talk about that. Okay. Because what number do you think the college football playoff would have to go to get Florida in? Like right now, give me a number. What number do you feel comfortable?
32?
32.
Maybe half of the. It might be more than that. You know,
I was going to say 37, but somewhere in the 30s we can settle on.
With the schedule that Florida has to play this year, I mean, I've had multiple people say that's the toughest schedule I've ever seen in my life.
Do you know there's a chance, and I said this, and you are a college football fan, so we are going to talk about this stuff. There's a chance the best team in a conference is not going to be the conference champion. Because of the way the scheduling goes, if you don't play those two or those three in a given year, well, you're going to walk right into the SEC championship compared to somebody you might have to fight, scratch and claw to get there.
Well, Florida's going to play them all.
Billy Napier's got a big challenge ahead of him. I wanted to talk about your major league debut, September 11th, 1993. Do you remember that day and what was going through your mind when you put that official uniform on for the first time?
Yes, I do. And I knew I wasn't going to play because we were hot on the heels of San Francisco. The only chance that I had to play was if we were beating somebody 15-0 or if Sid Bream needed a pinch runner in the 7th or 8th inning. That's the only time I was going to play. So I was brushing up on my base running, getting with the coaches and learning moves, tendencies, all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think I scored a couple runs. I think so September 11th, that would have given us about 3 weeks till the end of the season. I got 3 at-bats in 3 weeks, and I probably had six or 7 appearances.
You probably never sat on the bench like that in your entire life.
No. No.
So how was that mentally?
It was different, but it was educational. If you take it in an educational, as an educational situation, sit back, be a sponge, keep your mouth shut, observe, watch what's going on, learn, and then apply it when you get in there. So I just wanted to be as prepared as I could for the role that I knew I was going to have. Bobby was up front. He goes, "You're not going to play much. I don't know how many, if any, at bats you're going to get the rest of the time, but you will be pinch running. We will use your legs as, back in the day before the knee injuries."
Isn't that funny? You used to be a speed demon.
Yeah. He also mentioned Sid Bream. You did go to the lowest hanging fruit. What would have happened though? That's funny because if you're going to be a pinch runner, what happens if you screw it up the first time?
Oh, you don't pinch run anymore?
Right. Like whatever your job is, that job will go away real quickly in that world.
We're 10 games behind in August, and I think we ended up winning 104 games. So everything is magnified. Every little mistake. If you don't win that game, you don't want to be the reason that you guys didn't catch the San Francisco Giants.
So we have to explain something. Your memory, I don't know what your regular IQ is. I don't know. But I know what your baseball IQ is. And you have a ridiculous memory. Something 31 years ago, if I ask you, do you remember if you had a plan saying, first pitch fastball, I'm swinging? First time you dig in. First plate appearance. Like, do you just go, I'm going to show them I'm not afraid? Like, can you remember 31 years ago what a mindset was to get your first MLB at bat?
Yeah, there's one saying in baseball, especially amongst Latin players, that has always rang true with me and something that my dad had always said. You're not going to walk your way off the island. You're not going to walk your way into the big leagues. You got to swing it. And I just remember walking to the plate for the first time in Fulton County Stadium. I was facing a lefty named Kevin Wickender from the Cincinnati Reds, and I was like, I'm getting my 3 hacks in. I am getting my 3 hacks in, and I am not trying to hit a single. So first pitch was a sinker on the outside corner, and I tried to pull it, and luckily, as Guy would have, I hit a swing and bunt perfectly down the down the third baseline. There's no reason for Juan Samuel, who was playing third, to be playing me in. It was, I don't know, we were up 10 or 11 runs, and just perfect swing and bunt, and used those legs to beat it out. And
1 for 1.
The rest is history. Looks like a line drive in the box score.
Anybody, but you're right. Anybody can walk. Anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, those guys that go up there hacking, you got to be aware of those guys, you know. I got 3 at-bats during the course of the rest of the September, and I hit a double in Montreal off Mel Rojas, and I struck out off Johnny Ruffin, in my second at-bat.
So you know what Johnny Ruffin is doing today?
I do not.
Telling people that he struck out Chipper Jones.
My first career strikeout.
Yeah.
One of many.
My answer would have been nobody knows what Johnny Ruffin is doing today. Chipper Jones here in studio with us. We'll have a conversation with him. He'll co-host, in fact, so you can turn in, whatever your fee is to Scotty McFarland, our boss down the hall, after your 2 hours are done. The bongos around these parts mean headlines here on Dimino and Cellini. Apparently, Tiger is giving Liv's best the cold shoulder. We'll talk about that at 11:50. More work is to be done with the college football playoff. Apparently, that's why we're having Bill Hancock on. He is the executive director of the college football playoff. He will join us at noon. And this SEC quarterback may very well have the best NIL deal of all time. And I don't think it's ever going to be topped. We go on campus at 12:20. When we come back, Raheem Morris addresses his relationship with Kirby Smart. Could there be a bromance on the horizon? All things NFL are next. Chipper Jones with us, like we said, the Hall of Famer. Until 1 o'clock, it's Dimino and Cellini. It's the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. We do an X-Platform question of the day, Chipper, and today's question is, what is your favorite song about flowers? Dimino, Cellini, the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Is this a druggish? What is
Not
the
really
concept of
sure.
this? I mean, it's catchy.
It is.
Big karaoke, big wedding song.
Get you moving around, but what is the true meaning of the song?
No idea.
Someone out there will know at the Harris Cherokee Casino's X platform. Speaking of which, did you know, as Buck would say, did you know that starting March the 1st, the Caesars Sportsbook app launches in North Carolina? So our partners at Harris Cherokee Casino want you to know.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's very true. March the 1st, only in North Carolina, you'll be able to bet on all your favorite sports with the Caesars Sportsbook app. And no need to wait to sign up. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and pre-register so when you cross the state line into North Carolina, you will be ready to throw some money down.
Is that what we're doing?
All that implies.
Yeah, listen, why don't we just get it in the state of Georgia?
Well,
why can't we all play?
I think that you and I,
Lord.
maybe Chipper, I don't want to speak for him, the Hall of Famer in studio with us, but I think we all stand in agreement. If you're going to gamble, why not, put some money in the state's coffers?
Do you know there's no really such thing as a state line? You could be in a car, and they'll put a sign, "Welcome to Georgia," and all of a sudden the gambling stops. It doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like gambling should just be like, it should have an ability to cross that line with me. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you again. I agree with the guy.
Don't want to put Chipper on the spot.
I don't know if you've actually called your congressman at any point.
If I put $20 down on a team as I'm crossing a state line,
Right.
You're going to get pulled over.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Hall of Famer jailed.
Are they coming to get me with like a drone strike or something? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how it works.
All right, so Chuck and Chernoff yesterday pointed this out. Wanted to ask you before we talk some NFL, Chipper. So you made the All-Star game every year between 96 and 01, except for your MVP year in 99.
Weird.
What happened?
It was an unfortunate set of circumstances. Every team had to be represented, and Jason Kendall was the Pittsburgh Pirates representative for that All-Star game. I probably would have made it, but rounding first a couple days before the All-Star break, he gruesome injury.
Oh, God.
I remember
comes
that.
around first and slams on the brakes, snaps his leg. And so he wasn't going, and they had to take Ed Sprague, the third baseman in Pittsburgh that year, who had a really good first half. But, yeah, Boch called me, and he said, he goes, "Look, anybody else goes down, you're coming, but this is the way it has to be." And I don't envy a manager's job in the All-Star game. That's got to be one of the toughest, trying to be as diplomatic as possible to everyone. It's a nightmare situation. But yeah, it's unfortunate, and that was a really special one because that was the one in Boston with Ted Williams. You know, the scene with all the players. I mean, some of the greatest players in the history of the game, and I didn't get to partake in
Who
that.
got voted in to start at third base that year? Why don't I not know that?
It's probably going to be
Roland,
Caminiti and or Matt Williams.
Okay.
I would say I don't remember who was. All
right, here's my question. I don't know if we've ever asked this. How does 248 happen one year? You had 500.
I heard this conversation. I was riding in the car when you guys had this conversation, and to be honest with you, whenever I see an outlier like that, and I experienced an outlier. If you guys will remember, I was in a boot for quite some time that year. I was having a lot of trouble with my feet. It wasn't until that year that I realized that I was wearing shoes that were too small. You know, we didn't get a new pair of shoes, you know, every year. I had shoes that were, you know, years old when I was growing up. I had to wear my dad's shoes from time to time. When I started playing baseball, I wore multiple pairs of socks, and my toes would get scrunched up in my shoe, and it would cause problems in my arches, and really had some trouble with it until I moved to another size shoe, and all of a sudden I didn't have foot problems anymore. So it was a combination of a couple things. What year was that? 240 something. It was like early 2000s maybe or something.
I got it. Out someplace.
I was, struggling with my health. So whenever I see an outlier like that, I have to believe that there is something that is affecting that particular player and his mechanics, which doesn't allow him to achieve consistency.
2004. You had 567 plate appearances with your pups hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's an incredible outlier. Last one before we get
I was
to the
sitting
NFL.
like 200 at the break too, so
Ooh.
I got a little hot in the second half just to get it to 240.
All right. As we get to the NFL stuff, I just want to know, what would it mean if you would have hit 298 instead of 300 plus?
It means you're not a 300 hitter.
And what does that mean to a guy who plays 19 seasons, who was on the cusp of that?
Well, as somebody who, if I was to be asked what my greatest accomplishment was to be a part of the 300, 400, 500 club. That is a really small fraternity. I don't know how many of them there are. I think there's like 5 or 6. But that is what that really tells people that you were an all-around hitter. You were a good average hitter from both sides of the plate. You were a patient hitter. You took your walks. You got on base 40% of the time, which is a big number, and you slugged. You know, 19 years in the big leagues, and to have that be your average, that's really saying something.
So 2012 is your last year. If there's a DH in the National League in 2013,
I'm still playing.
Okay, you answer the question. That's all I need to know.
And to be honest with you, and let me say this: I left money on the table in 2013. My body was done, but to not have to worry about playing defense, that would have made a huge difference in my decision to leave that money on the table, knowing that all I had to do was hit, okay? And looking back, you could say that I could have had the chance to be the last National League, no DH National League player to hit 500 homers and have 3,000 hits. Most of those guys are in the American League. A person that played his entire career in the National League with no DH to hit 500 homers and 3,000 hits is also a very, very small fraternity.
So when an American League team calls, there's a couple, at least one.
I actually had 2 National League teams call.
So what? Nobody in the American League?
Nobody in the American League called me.
Really?
Yep.
Strange.
I had Ruben Amaro from the Phillies call me that year, and I actually had Stan Kasten from the Dodgers call. He's like, "Come out, play whenever you want. We need you to police the clubhouse out here." And I actually discussed that doing that with my wife Taylor. I never entertained the Phillies thing because that just that makes my skin crawl.
Atlanta fans will love hearing that.
To think about that.
So how long a conversation was it at the kitchen table? Now, had you done you did all the retirement stuff?
Yes.
He calls no, I don't want to get anybody, no tampering. Right, so there's no tampering.
Yeah.
Right, you're done.
Yeah.
How long was the conversation at the kitchen table?
About 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Moving across country and or not having her stay, kids and everything in school. It would just been a headache. And like I said earlier, my body, I was mentally and physically roasted.
Could you have lived with yourself not being a Brave for your entire career, though? Like, would you have been, let's say it was
ultimately, no.
Yeah, you would have been pissed, I think.
Ultimately, no. I would have been very disappointed in myself for doing that. And I think a lot of other people, even inside my circle, would have been just very disappointed.
Yeah, Hall of Famer Chipper Jones here with us. As Dimino promised, we'll get to the NFL eventually. But what do you make of this championship or bust attitude that was talked about starting at Braves Fan Fest and kind of continued during spring training?
Getting a little ahead of ourselves, I mean, there are steps to go along the way, and the first is to win the division. Actually, now you don't have to win the division to make it to the playoffs and give yourself an opportunity, but you have to play well enough to be one of the final 6 or 7. So I don't know. I think it's probably something that a player or two talked about to the media, and now it's getting blown up. Like, those guys are not thinking about the World Series right now. They're thinking about making it through 25 games in spring training, being as healthy as possible, and trying to be, as hot as can possibly be at the end of March. That's all we were ever thinking about. And then, going to Philly and winning that series.
How do you break down the season if you're a player? How do you break it into fourths and into third? How do you do it? Because like in football, they say first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth
I never
quarter.
really thought about it, to be honest with you. I guess halves.
Yeah.
I mean,
did you think in 10 at-bat runs, did you think
no.
You never did that? Because a lot of guys tell me.
Maybe monthly.
Okay.
Maybe monthly, because everybody looks at their numbers. Okay, am I a quick starter? Normally I was not a quick starter. I can't say that. I had some monster Aprils. May was awful for me. It was like, okay, the first month's out of the way, and I gotta, okay, I'm hitting 300, so I got a good foundation under my belt in the first month, and then I hit like 215 in May. But then when the weather warmed up in June, July, and August, I was on fire. I'm from Florida. I'm a warm weather kind of guy. I can't stand 40 degrees and mist and rain in New York. But the fact of the matter is you probably would break down your offensive production monthly. As a team, it would probably go by half.
All right. So you mentioned you think Austin Riley's going to have more home runs. Will Austin Riley finish his career with more rings than you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you feel
well, every time he wins one, I win one. So
kind of, sort of.
That's true.
So I'm one ahead of him, actually. But the fact of the matter is as a player, I really feel like it's going to happen again. You can't guarantee anything. Everybody thought we were going to win 2, 3, 4, 5 championships.
So what the narrative is, edge. I don't know, like, legacy became a big thing a few years ago. That became a word that everybody said, let's throw legacy around and figure everybody's out. But a baseball team without an edge. There were years that people said about your Braves teams, briefcase guys, And I don't, have you ever spoken to that?
I have not, but I can see why people would think that, because there is a slow transition to who polices the clubhouse. It was always the older guys. It was always Smoltz and Glavine and some of the older position players. And as they kind of shuffled off, everybody was kind of looking at, okay, who's it going to be? Well, I wasn't really early on in my career that guy who would jump up in somebody's face or pull somebody aside and say, that's not how we do it. But once the transition did, I think most guys in the clubhouse would say, and especially with what I was going through off the field, they dipped their toe in the water before they started, coming up and putting their arm around me. I mean, I got to see what kind of mood this guy's in before I approach him. A little bit scared, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's something that's been missing in this clubhouse, maybe definitely since Freddie left, because he was definitely policing the clubhouse. But, you could probably say that Dansby was as well. But before that, the guy with the edge was Nick Markakis. And you have to have a guy like that in the clubhouse. Chris Sale is that guy, but he's a pitcher. I feel like you have to have a position player that goes out there every single day, because pitchers don't take constructive criticism well from position players, and position players definitely do not take constructive criticism well from pitchers. So you have to have kind of that even balance. Now, before Smoltz left, he came to me. He's like, if I have a beef, I'll come to you. You handle it with the position players. If you have a beef, come to me. I'll handle it with the pitchers. So there was that really good mesh that we had. And hopefully, guys like Austin or Matt Olson will transform into that guy as the everyday guy. And I hope that Chris Sale, kind of, at least by the way he goes out and pitches, the way he talks to the media, the way he talks to his teammates, kind of does that for the pitchers.
So that stretch, though, was it fair to say that you guys were talented? And here comes Sheffield, and here comes Galarraga, and they did a bunch of things. This team had turnover, during that 14-year run. When you hear briefcase, these guys just rolled it out and they just played, and then they couldn't turn it on in the postseason. Is that fair or unfair?
Oh, I think it's fair if that's your complaint. We were by no means. We had a blast in the clubhouse. We had a blast on the buses. We had a blast on the planes. We enjoyed being around each other. If that didn't come out on TV, I can't really help that. I'm not a guy who's gonna. Me personally, I'm not gonna have the chains around my neck. I'm not going to be down at the end of the dugout, messing around with two of my buddies because I may be missing something that happens on the field. I have to stay focused on what is, going on out on the field, because I could learn something, and I don't want to miss that opportunity. Not to say that these guys aren't doing that, but the fact of the matter is that's just wasn't my personality. Yeah, and if you don't like that, then I can't help you.
Do you like it though? Because I think that was as much fun as a fan base has had rooting for a team around here.
100%. I enjoyed watching it. But if I would have, if I would have been in their shoes and acted differently, that's just me as a person.
It just didn't work for you during games.
It just didn't work for me. Right. I know what it takes for me to be successful. Those guys they're hooping and hollering and having a blast. There was nothing better than seeing those guys, jump over the fence of the dugout whenever somebody gets a big base hit and they're, slashing the sword and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's fun. I get it from an entertainment standpoint, and it works for them. It just didn't happen to work for me. There are many times when Brian McCann goes belly flopping into third base on his only triple of his career, and you saw me laughing my ass off. There are certain
when John Smoltz looks like he got shot when
he did the tuna at Colorado at home plate. That kind of stuff, really, gets me. But I'm sorry, the camera wasn't on me at that particular time that people thought I wasn't having fun.
Do you have a good bat flip in your resume? What?
Yeah.
Why don't I? What is it?
Philly.
Philly.
Oh, was that the last one?
No, it wasn't the last one. It was. I had a walk-off against Philly in May, and it was a game started by Doc Holliday and Tommy Hanson, God rest both their souls. You're expecting a 3-1, 3-2 game. It was, I think we won 15-13, 14-13, something like that. And Chooch Ruiz, the catcher from Philly, hit a home run. I believe it was off of Flaherty. And I mean, he just pimped it. I mean, I think he put him up like 9-8, 10-8, something like that. And I came back in, and I don't know why, because I usually don't let that stuff get to me. I go, God help them if I hit a home run to win this game. And I came up in the bottom of the last inning, and I actually hit one foul, a homer foul, to get to 2 strikes. And I really knew that this guy had nothing to get me out with. I can't remember his name. You say I have this great memory, but I can't remember his name. And I was just waiting on some kind of off-speed pitch over the middle of the plate, and he gave it to me again, and I hit it out in right center. And when I tell you that thing had landed in right center, and I was still walking, which I never did, and it wasn't just a casual bat flip. It was had some action, like some helicopter action on it, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. My next at bat the next day, I was a little loose in the batter's box.
Get some happy feet, huh?
I thought it was coming.
Hall of Famer Chipper Jones with us, co-hosting with us till about 1 o'clock. How the Falcons' new offensive coordinator and defensive Chris Dimino is a crapshoot personified. That story in a couple of minutes.
Punching it in from the goal line. This is the drive into the red zone.
All right, so Raheem Morris did meet with the media at the Combine yesterday, and the topic of Georgia and Kirby Smart came up. Here's what Raheem had to say.
Jealousy is my relationship with Kirby Smart. All right, let's go win some championships like that guy. They've done nothing but formulate a great program, and again, it starts with the people. Just watching him win championships, it's been fun to see. It's been fun to see the acquisition of great talent coming out of Georgia. Where I live now is a big Georgia contingency, so I got to get my Bulldog hats and be ready to support those guys and what they're doing.
With the eighth overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons picked Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I don't think that's
no.
a 3 tight end offense.
You and go Dogs.
Yeah. It just sounds to me like maybe the times are changing in Flowery Branch, and it could be a guy from the University of Georgia making their way to the Falcons.
As Buck will tell you, 1966 is when this franchise was established. They've never taken a Georgia player in the first round.
If that's the case, can we encourage Beck to come out early?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Where would he fit? Where would he fit? Like if they mocked it up and they included.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
does he have to do it a second year?
Probably.
Yeah. You like him?
Is he better than J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix?
I think he is. I'm not a big fan of Bo Nix. I keep thinking about what happened at Auburn.
Well, I'm looking over your head, and Mel Kiper's got J.J. McCarthy going 12th overall to the Broncos. So that pretty much puts Carson Beck right in the Falcons' lap.
And maybe it's not his fault, but McCarthy he didn't have to do anything for the most part at Michigan.
Well, now they're going to say, though, they're going to find out how athletic he is. I keep hearing he could end up in the top 10.
I've heard comparisons to Joe Burrow.
Here's what I keep thinking.
Oh, wow.
Then why didn't you get Jim Harbaugh? Like, to me, I would have said, hey, Jim, you like McCarthy? We'll let you take him at 8.
Yeah.
Would you have liked Harbaugh more than anybody here?
Oh, I can't say that. That's kind of putting me on the spot. I mean, Raheem's here now. He's done a good job.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you're obviously not co-hosting today. You're obviously not co-hosting.
I have a little more to worry about than these two guys, right? I got to stay a little more on the fence.
Yeah.
You know, the fact of the matter is I was very surprised. I was very surprised that it wasn't Harbaugh or Belichick. Obviously, you know, Belichick was dominating y'all's broadcasts here for
It was an assumption by a lot of people, myself included, that it was going to happen, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's neither, and Raheem gets the job, but I'm happy for him. Look, if he comes in and we get a quarterback, this is a quarterback-driven league. We got to do whatever it takes to get a quarterback, whether it's through the draft, whether it's signing or trading for somebody, you've got to get the next quarterback.
So Zach Robinson, I think it's his pick. To me, it's the OC, and he gets to tell me he go through a process of elimination, but I'm not.
I hope so, because it's his offense.
That's right. So we talked about who he liked and who he didn't. That came out.
A Pro Football Focus where he used to work, Zach Robinson podcast, and he loved Patrick Mahomes more than a lot of people because don't forget, lack of discipline, a guy
he's a runaround.
Isn't really going to fit inside the confines of the NFL. He thought he was one of the best quarterbacks. He's got the highest upside, is what Zach Robinson said when working for Pro Football Focus going into that draft. He also said that Daniel Jones, who went 6th overall, flashes some talent, but definitely has some concerns. Now, it's a crapshoot in this regard.
I know.
he also loved Mitchell Trubisky, saying Trubisky is a great fit for what the Bears do offensively. So, to your point, Dimino, when Arthur Blank got upset with you, it's a crapshoot. Nobody knows anything.
Okay, but what was...
It's not a crapshoot.
It is.
What was Trubisky's... What were his numbers in Chicago? Like, he was his best in Chicago. Like, he had winning records. Did he not go to the postseason?
I'm pretty convinced, though, that Chicago seems to be like the newest place where quarterbacks go to die. It just, and again, they bring the coach back. We'll find out what happens this time because the general manager polls. Look, I wanted to bring this up. We have a piece of sound. Boomer Esiason said, if their general manager does not pick Caleb Williams, he should be fired on the spot. Now, here's what I would say to Boomer. How about this then? How about in 2 years, if Caleb Williams is not the best quarterback in this draft, you lose every job you have. You're fired. All right, listen to this, and then I'm going to turn it on him and say, whoa, whoa, whoa.
The flip side of the coin is he walks away?
Yeah, now you have to be fired. Listen to this.
It's over. They're taking this kid right here, and if they don't take this kid, then Ryan Poles should be fired.
Okay, then if he's not the best quarterback in 2 years, you're fired. From every job you have, you're out. Like, that is such a sports talk host thing, and we're all guilty of that. But you talk about having stuff to lose. Now Boomer Esiason he's assessing college quarterbacks, which makes me laugh. With all due respect, what does he know about college quarterbacks?
That's an opinion, I suppose.
The GM should be fired if he doesn't take him. Okay, good. He's not the best quarterback. You're fired. Let's play the game. Let's make it a showdown.
Caleb Williams.
Loser leaves town.
He did show up at the Combine today. He's not going to work out for anybody, but he did say, the Bears, or if they trade back and it's somebody else, I'll be happy to play. I have no agenda. So saying the right things is Caleb Williams.
Well, it's amazing we have this guy sitting in a room with us because that would tell me that Caleb's not going to pull a Todd Van Poppel. Which, by the way, might have been the greatest thing that ever happened.
I can't talk to anybody without somebody bringing up Todd Van Poppel.
It's been a while, you and I.
All right, I'll pose a question. Who's the best player in the draft?
The best overall player?
Best overall player in the draft.
I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has the best chance to succeed.
Yeah. I think he's the one guy that you will look back in 20 years and he will be the one guy that you could say 100% he'll be wearing a gold jacket. I will go as far as to say that. All right.
Whoa.
So
Hall of Fame. Okay.
what I'm saying is, okay, so you're going to pass on the best player in the draft over somebody you would consider a crapshoot.
Yeah, a quarterback. That's a good point. I mean, like when the Bengals...
It's not a crapshoot.
Jamar Chase, a lot of people said you need an offensive lineman to protect Joe Burrow, and, well, they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow's
was paying a price.
He's paying a price.
His knee and now his wrist. I mean, it was a fair point in retrospect, but I understand what you're saying because I don't trust. I mean, I guess if you had to pick one of the quarterbacks coming in, Chipper, I don't know if you agree, but Jaden Daniels seems to be the guy that we agree on as the quote-unquote safest pick. Everybody else, I don't know.
And he's thin, so it makes him not safe. But I'm going to go with if Jim Harbaugh was hired here, I would have said I like the hire. Everybody else, it's who knows? We'll see. Jaden Daniels is the one quarterback that I will say, oh, I like that pick. Everybody else that they choose, I'm going to go, okay, let's see.
Yeah, and you're hearing a lot of people more and more coming out who have watched Caleb Williams more and more say, I mean, Merrill Hodge went so far as to say he's not special.
Yeah, you roasted him.
A 1-and-1 not being special. So, I mean, I don't know. Like you said about Boomer, I don't know how good Merrill Hodge is at evaluating quarterbacks, but he played in the league a long time. He knows good quarterback play when he sees it. And I know that his ability to break down film is better than all of ours. So I may give him the benefit of the doubt.
He did nail it with Johnny Manziel years ago. He said, you're going to regret it. Anybody that takes Johnny Manziel, Merrill Hodge.
Yep.
The problem I have is you don't know situation. Is it a fit? Is the guy we have no idea who's mentally stable going into the world of now having to walk the walk of being a top 10 pick, let alone a top 10 quarterback pick. That's the one thing that you can't tell me. You can't look in a guy's eyes. Look, do I think there's goofy? Yeah, I know who's goofy. Like Russell Wilson's goofy. Kirk Cousins put a grill in. Now I got to think about him now. What, is he goofy too? And I got Caleb Williams crying in the stands with nail polish on. Is he goofy?
We build him up only to break him down. And for those that don't know, going back to Todd Van Poppel, Chipper selected first overall in 90. The Braves were interested in Todd Van Poppel as the first overall pick, but he explicitly stated that he would not sign with the Braves.
Or his agent did.
Yes.
We're hearing about him a lot now too. You know, with all the unsigned Boris free agents. So
It goes
not
back
to get off the subject.
No, but it goes back that far.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb Williams is trying to tell you, I'm not going to pull a Eli. I'm not going to pull a John Elway. It's all going to be fine. I don't know what he's saying behind the scenes. He did have to do that, though, publicly. I'm going to go play football wherever I get picked to go play football.
All right, when we come back, why is Tiger giving this live star the cold shoulder? We'll talk about that. Dimino will drive you around the sports world. Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer, with us until 1 o'clock, co-hosting with Dimino and Cellini today. It's the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM.
Swing, high fly ball, belted right center, and the Braves have won it! That is some King Kong
Chipper getting the announcers to work blue. 11:53, Dimino, Cellini, the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM.
Still not the first base yet, honey.
The Hall of Famer Chipper Jones here in studio with us. Bill Hancock, the executive director of the college football playoff.
Get your questions ready, Chipper.
He's going to be joining
Whatever
us.
you need to know about college football, Bill's the man.
I'm going to let the pros handle that.
No. I'm serious. Listen, we've done this with Bill.
If anything piques your interest, Chipper.
Yeah, or if you just want to say, hey, Bill, with all due respect, I think you're very wrong about that.
Unless he can get half a dozen to a dozen 5 stars to go to University of Florida, I really have nothing.
Have that kind of pull, Bill Hancock. John Rahm told ESPN, while Rory McIlroy has been supportive of his decision to join Live Golf to the tune of $500 million, he did text Tiger, and Tiger has given him so far, Dimino, the cold shoulder.
I love it.
No response.
I love it. Don't put your hand out. Don't come shake my hand.
Get over it.
We are not friends.
Get over it. I mean, who cares? Who cares?
Are you a grudge holder? Come on.
Yeah, I keep receipts.
Yeah. So that's what Tiger's
I keep receipts in my own household.
Who's winning and who's losing
I
these
am
days?
so losing.
Aren't you? Aren't we all? You are. We all are as guys in the house. Anybody that says any differently is a liar. He said, Tiger, I text him and he no say anything. Through an interpreter. That's what he said in my mind. That's how it sounded.
One more time.
Tiger, I text him. He no say anything.
I'd say C+.
I don't know. Listen, the good news for you is I don't know how John Rahm sounds. In my head, it was perfect, but I don't know.
He's Spanish, not Italian. So.
Yeah, he's
Well, it's close.
and he doesn't need an interpreter.
It's all Europe.
In my head, Chipper, that's the way the whole thing played itself out. Let's buckle up.
Turn off the GPS and let Dimino take the wheel. It's a drive around the sports world, presented by Marietta Toyota. At Marietta Toyota, every new Toyota includes our nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty, family-owned and operated since 1975. Stop in for a test drive or visit MariettaToyota.com. It's better in Marietta.
All right, real quick. Speaking of that, do you know what these gentlemen have in common? John Rahm, Joaquin Neiman, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Sergio Garcia, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed, and Cam Smith.
Derek Thomas, you're the golf guy.
They're all live golfers.
They're all live golfers who will play at Augusta. Taylor Gooch, he was the king of live. You know what he's saying? What about me?
He's
you know what
saying-
Augusta's saying? What about you, sir?
And now he's saying if Rory wins or anybody else, there's an asterisk because I'm not playing.
That's right. He said, I want asterisks next to every major that I don't play in.
I have 3 words for you. You don't count.
Yeah. I would say this, on the 1st and the 15th, you go your way, Augusta's going to go their
You
way.
made your decision.
What do you want from
You made your bed, lie in it.
Exactly. All right. Everything comes back to a Rocky movie or something in a Rocky movie. Do you know that the Carl Weathers outfit that he wore in Rocky IV to go into the ring is now up for auction? It is up to $25,000. It's the USA vest. It's the shorts.
It's his final appearance in the ring.
Yes, it is. Well, he comes back, a little flashy back, but whatever. You know what I mean. I get it. $25,000. Have you ever bought anything off of eBay? Chipper Jones.
Never.
Have you ever bid on anything that wasn't a public bid? Like you've been at charity auctions that you've bought dogs. I've seen it. And by the way, because the dogs were auctioned, Chipper wasn't at a place buying dogs. It was for charity. Have you never bought anything like at no eBay, no nothing like that?
Never.
Would you ever? Is there anything that you would buy right now that you know of? I'll let you think about it if you need to. But if there's anything, and would you have to go to your wife? At what price do you have to go to your wife?
No, I would not have to go to the wife.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay.
No.
You sure you want to say that?
It's on the record.
Okay, all right. So, but is there anything that you
stated.
think you would buy? Listen, I remember your All-Star Game home run. How that negotiation broke down the crap. You weren't gonna get had.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You had an agreement.
My 400th home run ball. Yeah, All-Star home. Yeah, I'm not going to get shaken down.
All right. Is there anything that you would like for, and you're building a house or you're renovating? I'm assuming you're going to have a little man area with all your stuff?
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to add to that? Is there anything you would buy? An old jersey?
No, I don't have any room.
No, it's
I just had to downsize big time.
All right.
You're so desperate to get out of the house, you're sitting in with us right now with all that construction going on.
That was off the
That's
record.
a very good
No,
point.
no, it's on the record.
Oh, it was on the record?
Yeah.
Any excuse to get out of the house and not hear the sledgehammers and, hammering and drywall.
Do you own anything from Mickey Mantle or signed by Mickey Mantle?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Pictures, baseballs.
Did it freak you out the
signed.
first time somebody like Mickey Mantle actually knew who you were?
He sat down with him at
That's
an
what I'm saying.
autograph signing.
Yeah.
Like the first time he knew you.
He was cocked at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I guess that's on the record, too.
That is on the
That
record.
is on the record. Did he know you?
He knew of me.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the first time we met. I was really distracted by the fifth of Jim Beam under the table.
Under the table.
Yeah.
At least it was under. At least it was under the table.
Under the table. Yeah, it was, and just people's reaction to meeting
Grown
him.
men.
Like, they were fawning over him. It was crazy, and I was just like, man, this guy's a stud.
You know what I know about him? He didn't hit 300.
He did 298.
298. He's the reason I asked the question. I knew you knew.
Yep.
What do you have signed?
I've
you get a picture with him?
I have a Babe Ruth, a Joe DiMaggio, and a Mickey Mantle signed picture in between like bat racks of 7 that are like Hall of Fame bats and 7 of my milestone bats that I had. So
You have to keep an eye on that when you move. One of the movers may, looks like you have a bat.
yeah,
Stored somewhere on you there, sir.
All of my memorabilia I personally put in storage myself.
Yeah, it's like a good glove. You make sure that not a lot of people touch it.
And
Look at that Mickey Mantle ball. Where'd it go?
I've got a shadow box underneath all of that with all my All-Star rings, National League Championship rings, World Series rings.
What's the Hall of Fame bat? Is that signed by every Hall of Famer when you got into the Hall of Fame? Did they?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's worth something.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd say so. Keep going because we're going to have Bill Hancock join us at 12:05. We're going straight through, Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't hold back.
We do what we want.
Empty the bucket.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Adam. I want to hear Joe Namath. Joe Namath was a quarterback in the 60s for Alabama. And we talk about NIL now. We talk about what's okay, $50 handshakes. The old drill used to be you sell your tickets to some booster. You got tickets that are worth $40. He gives you $400 for them, and everybody's happy. Nobody knows. Listen to what Joe Namath said he was offered to play college football.
$6,000 a month at one point from a college and a new car every year.
Now, it gets better. It gets better. This is
I just love his cadence.
I do, too.
I get the biggest kick out of hearing him talk.
His father made $5,100 a year. His father
In the
made
steel mill, right?
Yeah, and he said $6,000 a month. You know why he didn't take it? He didn't have the conscience. He said his older brother said, "And give me a Joe Namath. So you're going to go play with a bunch of cheaters?" And he literally said, "I couldn't sign or I couldn't go." And what do we know about the car? What did Joe Namath tell us?
When he was negotiating between the Jets and the Cardinals, he told the Cardinals that he wanted a new car and he wanted all these different things. Oh, they fell back. I talked to him in the dorm room. They fell back on him. Oh, he wants a new car and cash.
So I think the
car greatest
thing,
storyteller ever, man. You want to talk about a guy, Chipper, I don't know if you've ever met him. He takes over a room, man.
When he walks
commands the room.
I don't believe he's supposed to be a Hall of Famer.
I've heard you say that, and you have to be charismatic to be able to be, and not only that, be charismatic in New York.
Yep.
Like it's different. Like
Fur
it's
coat.
different when you do it in New York as opposed to anywhere else.
Mutton chops, fur coat, Farrah Fawcett, Zima.
He showed up. Remember, when the Super Bowl was in Atlanta. He did Radio Row. He had sunglasses on. What do we think about
the lush chest hair?
Oh,
yeah, back then, yeah, it was the thing.
You're
Chipper.
blind or you're a douche,
right? But Joe Namath wasn't.
No, he said
either one of those things.
I'm telling you this: there have been probably 5 times where I've had that moment of Sandy Koufax was one. I took a step back. Joe Namath, like growing up there and knowing about the bars and the club that he owned and getting in trouble a little bit with the NFL because of it, having to sell it. He was another guy. You just go, oh, that really is him.
Yeah.
There aren't many of those guys.
It's happened to me a handful of times where you just been like, Mickey Mantle. Before I did that card show with him, I was literally practicing in the mirror how I was going to meet him the night before.
So he's like the Queen of England. You've got to go through your 100%. Routine to make sure you get it right.
And I've met 4 presidents, so it's that's a little awe-inspiring whenever that happens.
That's another level.
Yeah.
Down the hall. Down the hall. All right, hey, watch this.
Build that wall. Build that wall.
That's the only conservative news talk station, Extra 106.3.
I have not met him, by the way. I have not met him.
Okay.
All right.
So we're
again down the hall.
Yeah, down the hall. So let's try something new. Are we waiting for Bill Hancock, or is he on, or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
Keep going.
Just
I'll tell you when he's on. Don't worry about it.
Hit any piece of sound that's there. There's a list. I don't even have. Just hit any. What is this? Let's play a game. You know what
You
that
tell
is?
me.
Do it again. I know. Watch this. Play it again.
Sounds like somebody hit a ball.
You're close.
Like in spring training.
That's Otani.
Oh, that was Otani.
Oh, yeah.
Nailed it.
Cracked a home run yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow, you know your baseball.
That's what it sounds like.
In his
That's
Dodger
Ohtani.
debut, hits a home run.
All right, play another piece of sound. Let's see what happens. I don't care. Think I'm scared?
Are we in a club of some sort? What's happening here? Yeah, you've stumped yourself now. I see the look on your face.
What
Doesn't
is
it?
this? What is this?
That great piece of audio was Isaiah Thomas running the slowest 40-yard dash.
Oh, yeah. Who ran the slowest 40-yard time at the Combine? I thought the guy at the end said, yeah, that was him. It was an offensive lineman named Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas.
Not Tom Brady.
No. This is let's do it again now. Listen to this. Just listen carefully. This is the slowest 40 time ever at the Combine.
As we listen to this, what was the 40 time?
6'2".
Yeah, that's pretty slow.
6'2" is the slowest
I hear it
time
now.
ever. Yeah, you hear it now? You hear his feet hitting it?
I think I could run 6'2" now.
Well, be careful.
I think
you might
I
get
could.
challenged.
I think I could.
Smell a bit.
How much money?
It's not going to happen, but
Oh, okay. How much money would you put on the fact that you could run a 6'2" or better?
yeah, I'd put it pretty substantial.
You really think you can run a 6'2"?
100%.
When was the last time you sprinted?
That would be the problem.
That's
Are you
going to
make it to the end?
you'd have to
without a
question.
blowout?
That's a good question.
Without a blowout, would you make it to the end?
I mean, are you going to, I have to leave the studio and do it today?
Yeah, big shot.
I mean-
we're gonna go right across the street.
Now we're name calling. I've been here, I've been here an hour. I'm getting name called already.
You're not a friend anymore once you come inside this room.
This isn't that show. This is not that
Everything
show.
changes.
Could you run a 6'2"?
No.
No, I don't think.
Probably
I
not.
know
No,
I could.
I could barely touch my toes anymore.
I got a bad gait walking.
Yeah,
That's
I've watched
terrible.
you walk.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Your
It's not
gait
good.
was bad prior to the back injury.
I know.
It's even worse now. I don't mean to pile on. I apologize.
Again, thank you.
You
I'm
walk
right
like
here.
you're 90.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, now the truth is coming out.
Yeah,
huh?
you do.
All right, well, you're bald.
I know.
What do you want from
So
me?
are you.
By the way, I saw this picture. How are you holding up? How are you holding up there? How are you holding up?
I'm doing okay. I still have some lush salt and
Okay.
pepper locks,
All right.
mostly
Hey,
salt.
We played the clip. When did walk-up music start in baseball?
Ever since I can remember, I got my song from Larry Walker in Montreal, so they were still in Montreal then. So that was like right when I got,
Did
right
you
when I got
ever
called
use
up.
anything else?
I did. I had I think it was Trick Daddy had a remix of some song that I kind of liked there for a little bit, but I played it for like 2 days and everybody was like, nah, go back to Ozzy.
That would have been like signing with the Dodgers. You just look back and you go, do you regret it a little bit?
That one. That's what I walked up
I
to.
remember this.
Yeah.
Like, for a year?
Oh, no. You did this?
All right,
Oh,
hey,
no,
whoa,
hey, hey.
thanks,
We're not serious
Hey,
XM.
good Lord.
Without the.
I really hope you didn't play that version.
No, it was a different,
Yeah.
a different part of the song.
Talk
The
about waking it up a
family-friendly
little bit.
version.
Good Lord. Hey,
No wonder Bobby went crazy.
if we're gonna play the Ash Chipper, let's just play Ash Chipper.
Okay.
Take family member out of it. Toughest love you were ever given by anybody in the game.
Toughest love.
Didn't care who you were.
Yeah. Probably Chuck Lamar, who was the minor league director, farm director when I first got drafted. Man, he rode me like Zorro.
Did he know what he was doing? Was it part of a plan?
100%.
Okay.
And he did it. He didn't spare anybody.
Okay.
But he rode me extra hard because he didn't want to show favoritism. Let everybody else see that I'm not, just because I'm the first pick in the draft, I'm not going to be treated any differently. He's going to ride my rear end just as hard as anybody else. So, but once I got to the big leagues, once I was no longer under his umbrella, couldn't have been better to me, you know. But
did he ever explain that to you? This is why I did 100%. What I did?
And explained it to my parents as well, because I thought he had it out for me. And he pulled my dad aside. Dad, big baseball guy, you know, pulled him aside and said, look, love the kid, you know, but he needs every once in a while to have a foot stuck in his rear end. And my dad was like, then you stick it in his rear end, you know, and from then on, it was like him and my dad were like best buddies.
Are you the same player if it wasn't Bobby Cox as your manager?
I like to think so, but I can't say how I would have responded to not having the success that we had, you know, here in Atlanta early on in my career. Who knows? You know, maybe it would have been one of those situations where, let's just say, I would have gotten drafted by Seattle instead of Atlanta, you know, 4, 5, 6 years into my career. Am I saying to myself, do I want to go play somewhere else? Do I want to be closer to home? You know, do I want to win more? All these things would have been questions. I never had any of those questions when I was playing here.
So we've talked about Ronald and we've talked about it a lot. Nick, you brought it up. The injury, it could end up being the best thing that ever happened.
Which is crazy to say, but.
So in yours, and I'll ask if Terry Pendleton might be as important as anybody in your career, if the injury doesn't happen, you get more games under your belt. But was there that sort of moment that we think Ronald is having now?
It seems like Ronald has more of an appreciation of the game. Not taking anything for granted.
Every player, once humbled, will have a greater appreciation. And you know, I hate to say this, but a lot of times that is an injury. When you have the game taken away from you and you are away from it, and especially winning a championship in that same year that he was not a part of it, I think he has come back a different person, a more mature kid who still, you know, he still enjoys himself. Don't get me wrong, but I'd be hard pressed to. I know because I've been there. I'd be hard pressed to find anybody who's worked harder than he has.
He got an A last year from the guys, the trainers, the physical guys, the weight room guy.
Yeah.
He said, "You want to know who the A student is? It's Ronald Acuna." I was like, "Whoa!" And then this year, everybody's saying he's in better shape than last year.
And the year before the injury, no one would have said that.
Right.
No one would have said that. And so yeah, I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but our careers as far as success early, kind of head in the clouds, you know, maybe thinking we're above everybody else, and then getting knocked down to earth and having the game taken away from us at virtually the same time in our career.
I brought up Terry. How important was you? I think you.
Terry was huge. Terry was huge on so many levels because Terry Pendleton. He was a mentor when I was coming up, and then he was a guy that I could bounce stuff off of when I was hurt. There's no secret why they lockered us next to each other in 1994, the whole year when I was on the DL. They wanted me to watch a true pro go at it. They wanted me to watch how a true leader took over a clubhouse and policed the clubhouse, because they knew that at some point that was going to be me. That was going to be my job, and learned so much. I used to have to take his spikes off for him after games because his back was so bad he couldn't bend over to take off his spikes, but yet he was going out there and playing third and hitting third for the best team in the National League every single day.
Playing on that turf, the old school turf, I'm sure that really helped his lower back a lot too.
Busch Stadium was not fun, I can tell you that.
He was the first one that told me about you couldn't take your cleats off because your foot would swell so fast you wouldn't get it back on, so you just put everything into the ice bucket.
Yeah.
Cleat included.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was. We would have when we would play in Cincinnati. You could not read the outfield signs or the 400-foot sign because there was so much heat coming off of those, and we would literally come back into the dugouts in Cincinnati and St. Louis and Pittsburgh, and they would have cardboard boxes with Glad bags over the top of them and filled with ice. And I remember one time in Cincinnati, Jeff Blauser, the bottom of his shoe was melting. That's too hot.
Can't even wrap your head around that. Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer with us. We're now joined on the Hobson & Hobson Newsmaker line by the executive director of the College Football Playoff. It's a very busy time for Bill Hancock. He's carved out some time for us right now on the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM. Bill, always a pleasure having you on. How you doing today?
Good to hear you guys. And I just want to say to Chipper, do you miss spring training?
I miss being down there with the guys and interacting with the fellows. But, boy, I tell you what, my body is toast. I can promise you that.
Spring training has to be the best time of year for a sports fan. I really mean it. It's awesome.
It's pretty good for baseball players, too, because we get to work on our golf game.
It is great. If you haven't been down as of late, Bill and Chipper, you can attest to this. Your work, unless you're one of the coaches or you have some other specific work to do on one of the backfields, you're pretty much done by 2 o'clock.
First couple 10 days, probably 10 days to 2 weeks. We're literally off the field at noon and on the golf course by 12:30, 1 o'clock. Yeah, it's a pretty good gig.
I would say so. What about your
Chipper,
gig?
Chipper, it's just like the radio business. You're done by 1 o'clock.
True. My wife says.
Fair point, Bill.
My wife says your shift is shorter than most baseball games. Now, we've sped it up a little bit, so she can't really say that much anymore. Hey, Bill, so, all right, we might as well just go to it. How quickly we're going to blow past 12 teams in the college football playoff? Because I just smell 16 on the horizon, sir.
Oh, we'll see. But, for a change, the media reports last week were pretty accurate. The commissioners are just started saying, is this the right number given conference expansion, given the larger sizes of conferences? Is 12 going to be the right number? That's to be determined. Of course, we're going to have 12 this season and next season. There's some details to be worked out. We'll see.
And when you talk about a crazy time, do you remember it being crazier than this? Because you were part of the BCS, you were part of the first 14 playoff, and now you got this, and you got NIL, and you got conference expansion. Like you said, everything seems to be happening all at once.
Boy, it really does. But I've been around long enough to know that when you're in the middle of something, man, that feels like the worst thing that ever happened, or the busiest, or the most time-consuming. And I think history will be the only judge of this time, but it sure seems like there's a lot on everybody's plate right now.
When you look back, though, do you believe the computer system was good or not good? Because it's zeros and ones, garbage in, garbage out. I don't know what you'll say about it, but what do you think about when the computers ran it?
Not. First of all, nobody knew how they operated. And the computer guys tried to explain it to me, and I'm like, I don't understand. But no, not. This system we have now with the committee is the best system ever devised to evaluate college football teams. Will there be controversy? Absolutely, every year. And actually 12 teams, 14, 16, 32, 64, that won't solve the controversy. But this system works.
Bill Hancock with us on the Hobson & Hobson Newsmaker line. Like you said, you have to go in, be it your role or the committee or anybody else around the playoff. Someone is going to be left out. Somebody is going to be upset. Somebody is going to think the committee is against them.
They are, and we're all little Oliver Stones. We're all thinking there's a conspiracy, but there is no conspiracy with this group, period.
How do you know that, Bill?
Here we go.
How do you know that?
I'm there. I'm with them. I hear the debate there. It's like, I don't know, it'd be like, what do I say? Cursing in church. You just don't do it.
So, but you agree there's a human agenda. There's a human nature. There's the I want mine to succeed maybe more than yours. And I know there's recusing. I looked up the word. I'm happy I said it correctly. I know there's that, but I'm still not sure that there's not agendas walking in that room.
No, there's not. I wish you could come to the mock exercise sometime that we do in the fall where people play the role of committee members and see it just doesn't happen. I understand the question, but believe me, it doesn't happen.
All right, Bill, send a ticket to 3325. No, I would do that, but here's the thing. Why don't you have a fan on the 13-person committee? An outsider.
We have football experts. We have football experts who really are outsiders. Compare our committee to the men's basketball committee that really has no outsiders. And I worked with that group for 13 years. I love it. Love that tournament. This will be my 45th consecutive Final Four to attend, so I love that. But I like the fact that we do have outsiders. Condoleezza Rice, Rod West, an energy company executive in New Orleans, and I can just go on and on. We do have outsiders.
What if there was a contest? I'm not even being smartass about this. Why isn't there, I would say, the average guy, the football fan, why doesn't he maybe have an entrance into something like this?
Would he take the time to do the work, he or she, take the time to do the work, take the time to attend the meetings? Don't know the answer to that. We prefer to stick with established college football experts. We could take a radio guy as long as he's retired. He can't be active, so you have to retire.
We asked
be on the committee.
We asked Reese Davis.
The problem is, Bill, he'll never give up the radio show.
Yeah, no, I'm not retiring.
Out of his cold, dead hands.
Yeah, you're going to have to rip me out of the seat.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, we asked Reese Davis if ESPN maybe has too much power when it comes to any of this stuff, because that became a thing as well.
Zero, nada, nil. They don't want any power. They don't want to be involved in this. We had the same thing when I worked with the men's basketball tournament. People said, oh, CBS has all the power. They want Kentucky. They want them to play North Carolina. That wasn't true then, and it's not true now.
But you understand why people would say that. They're investing billions of dollars, and they want to maybe have the best product out there. You understand why that's the perception.
Oh, I've been around it long enough to know I understand every fan's perception. I love fans. Fans are the reason the three of us and Chipper, the four of us, have jobs. I get that. I love them.
And I will tell you this.
Hold on. Chipper's kind of retired. Chipper's
there's no kind of to it.
He's living off the back of the taxpayer right now, Bill. So let's just keep it to us working men.
But I will say this: in all of our conversations we've had with you over the years, you are a guy that doesn't seem to take. You understand big picture. You don't take any of this personally.
No, goodness gracious. Really, the three of us, and Chipper when he was playing, we're all so lucky to get to do what we get to do. My goodness.
All right. What was you said 45 years with the NCAA basketball tournament?
This will be my 45th consecutive Final Four to attend, and frankly, I'm shooting for 75.
Okay, good for you. I'm rooting for you in that regard. But here, how much money was the NCAA tournament when you first got in? Do you know what the TV deal was? Do you have any idea?
Oh, man, I shouldn't guess. I don't know.
But could you have envisioned the numbers that we're talking about in the college football media rights and the basketball media rights?
Nope.
Are you a fan of NIL?
Yeah, if it's done right, absolutely.
Is the NCAA going to have any power, or should they just shut out the lights right now?
Oh, we're going to have a governing body of some kind. And of course, I worked at the NCAA for 16 years, so I guess I'm biased. They have good people, good principles. Could they use some work? Yeah, they could, of course.
Is Nick Saban supposed to be the commissioner of college football?
He can't. He's going on ESPN.
So we'd have to give that up.
Let's give it to Feinbaum instead.
He'd have to quit the radio. He's got a pretty big gig. You better have a checkbook out if you're going to get Feinbaum. I heard about what he makes. All right,
Amen.
So you're all set. It's 12.
12 the next couple of years. Could that change?
Yeah. Do you
within the next couple of years?
You think it's going to change, right?
I don't know. I've given up trying to guess about these things. But conferences are bigger, and is 12 the right system to fit within the current size of the conferences?
In the next
we'll find out.
In the next 5 years, do we have 2 super conferences? And that's it, and everybody else plays for the other trophy?
I don't know. What's a super conference? How many teams are in it? Who are they going to play?
20 teams. 40 teams all together, Bill. 40 teams all together, and everybody else is playing for something else.
and they're going to lose, right? Some of those teams are going to lose some games.
Yeah.
That maybe they're not accustomed to losing because they're not going to be able. They're probably not going to be able to play Furman.
Yeah, directional schools. Yeah, not as much. Yeah.
They're not going to play App State, although Michigan wished they hadn't played App State. Sorry. Can I strike that from the record, please?
Anything can happen on any given Saturday, Bill Hancock. So we appreciate you coming on with us. And when's the next meeting?
Don't know. Be pretty soon.
What's the thread count? What's the average thread count of the hotels that these committees stay at? This is the greatest gig in the world. If you told me I could be a committee member, just a lifetime committee member,
it's even better than ours.
I think it's better than this gig.
No, it's not near as good as your gig. Come on.
I don't know about that. I don't have a per diem.
With Chipper Jones.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
Get to hang out with Chipper Jones. Come on.
We asked earlier. Chipper said, how many to get Florida in?
Well, see, Bill, I grew up in Central Florida, grew up a Gator fan, but I think you'd have to expand. Is there any proposal in the near future to expand to 64 so that maybe my Gators might be able to get, or maybe just make sure you send 10 or 12 5-stars down to Billy Napier, and maybe that'll help.
Chipper, don't worry. The Gators will be back. Don't worry.
I know.
Everything. Don't worry, be happy. That's the Bill Hancock theme. Bill, always a pleasure having you on. And once this next meeting takes place and maybe some expansion talk continues, we'll have another conversation. That sound good?
Yeah, and I'll see you down at that thing in the fall. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate the invite.
You guys are great. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
You got it. Bill Hancock, the executive director of the College Football Playoff. I told you can't stay mad at the guy.
No, I know.
You can't be mad.
He seems like the nicest guy on the planet.
He's
great at his job.
But he's the kind of guy you need running point for this. Especially.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's the grandfather that if I wanted to blast him, I go, what would I blast that guy for? You can't blast him.
No.
I can blast the system.
Right.
13 people staying in a hotel in Texas and telling me who the best teams are. I can blast that. I just can't get him.
But he opens the conversation by talking to Chipper about spring training. You see, he lightened the mood right out of the gate. Just kind of forgot what we wanted to go after him about.
Sort of like being pantsed.
Totally lost my train of thought. Going back to college football, it's the NIL deal of a lifetime. Everything else is a distant second. We go on campus next. Hall of Famer Chipper Jones hanging out with us until 1 o'clock. It's Dimino and Cellini. It's the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM.
And with one swing of his bat, Chipper Jones has untied the game. It's 3-2 Atlanta as Chipper Jones connects for a leadoff homer to start the 9th inning.
I think that's Chipper Jones' first big league home run. It is. And that was
what a time for it.
Yeah, and a rocket, too.
12:30 Dimino, Cellini, the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM here on a Wednesday afternoon. The Braves Clubhouse Report is coming up, as Derek Thomas said during his update at 2 o'clock. The Hall of Famer Chipper Jones here in studio with us. A rude homecoming last night at State Farm Arena. We'll get to that toward the bottom of the hour. Do you remember that like it was yesterday, the first career home run?
Yeah, we got a Johnny Ruffin first strikeout and a Josias Manzanillo first homer.
I guess that's a yes.
Those are two names that should stir up a lot of memories.
You can't get to 400 without hitting one.
I hear you. And you know, the first homer was special because we were winning 2-0, and then we gave up 2 in the bottom of the 8th, and I was leading off the 9th. And I had faced Manzanillo a few times in the minor leagues. Good arm, good fastball. I knew he was proud of it. So when I got a 2-0 count, I was sitting dead red. And that homer was about. Man, it was probably 15 months in the making because 94 blew out my knee in spring training, and then we had the strike, and that was about the middle of May before I hit my first one.
Were you going to be the starting third baseman in 94?
Left fielder. Ronnie Gant broke his leg in the dirt bike accident, so it was myself, Tarasco, and Klesko that were vying for the left field spot. Terry Pendleton was still in Atlanta.
Okay.
Blauser and Belliard were still playing short. So, yeah, they came up and asked me if I'd ever played the outfield before, and I was like, heck yeah. Never had. But I think I was leading the team in homers and RBIs, going into that fateful game, March 18th, 1994.
So you did a lot of things great in your career. That's why you're a Hall of Famer. But I'm looking at your Wikipedia page, and you know this. In 91, Great offensive numbers. With the
55 errors.
56 errors, it says here at the shortstop position. That seems impossible. When do you realize, this shortstop thing isn't for me?
When you got a scatter gun. I relied on my arm a lot playing defense as an amateur. I didn't move my feet very well to take pressure off of my arm. I would just sit back at deep short and, throw rockets, over there. And at the high school level, I got away with it. When the clock speeds up at the professional level, there were people in Macon, Georgia wearing, sitting behind the first base dugout wearing catcher's gear. Like, I was scattering fans. It was pretty brutal. Now, I could go and make that play in the hole and jump and throw, and the throws that I didn't have to think about, I made great plays. But if you hit me a routine two-hopper and I had to take a crow hop and throw it to first, watch
So you understand how guys like Steve Sachs, Chuck Knobloch, it gets in their head.
They had the thing. Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say I had the thing. I think it was more fundamentals. I think once I learned to play defense with my feet and not my glove and my arm, I got a lot better.
So hold on. They pay you $300-something thousand, and you got 56 errors. Is anybody in the organization catching any crap for this?
No, not with his offensive numbers.
No DH?
No, they had. Well, I think
they'll find a spot for you like that.
I think the move was always going to be corner outfield or third base. I think there are people a lot smarter than us. Now, when I was coming out of high school, nobody told me I couldn't play shortstop. I was the best athlete on the field. At some point, I was going to grow into my body and be 225 pounds instead of 175 pounds.
So the Terry Pendleton decision of not being here in 95, Klesko being ready to go out into the outfield, that's the transition.
And we were running, a lot of people don't remember this, we were running a three-way platoon between third base and left field. Whenever we faced righties, I played third, Klesko played left. Whenever we faced a lefty, I played left, Jose Oliva played third. Right when I got called up. This was in,
So 95, should Hideo Nomo have been eligible for the Rookie of the Year? I did some numbers. He had like 100.
He loves putting me on the spot.
No, he had 130.
Told you, you're not a friend in this room.
You know what it sounds like if I say no?
He's a grown-ass man. He's 26. He had pitched 150 games.
Chipper Jones, I was robbed.
Demand your trophy back.
Under the current system of voting, he was the Rookie of the Year. He led the league in strikeouts, and ERA started the freaking All-Star game, for goodness
I know, but he was a grown-ass man. He pitched 150 games. Guy started 150 games. Then he comes over here, and all of a sudden he's taking our trophies.
And by the rules, he was a rookie. By the rules.
He came in second. You did come in second.
I did come in second. Yeah. I did win the Players' Choice Rookie of the Year that year. I'll throw that in there.
Is that somewhere in the basement right now? Is that a piece of hardware that you actually give you?
That is there. Yeah.
What did you ever win? Car? Anything like you? Now,
no.
We had a little discussion. What color was the Corvette?
Black.
I told you.
So Urban Legend has it as a yellow Corvette.
It was no.
The story obviously changes over the years.
It was black.
But how many times did you get hit that year in the minors?
17.
17 times. You think if you weren't driving a Corvette, it might have been a few less?
A few less, yeah. I got hit 19 times in my entire career in the big leagues.
Are you shocked by that number with your production? I'm seriously asking. Are you shocked that you were only hit 19 times?
Yes. I learned early on that little thing with the stitches hurts, so I learned how to get the hell out of the way. But the fact of the matter is I think I would like to think it's more of a reflection of respect that I played the game the right way. I did very little to ruffle anybody's feathers. I had the utmost respect for my peers and my teammates and the game itself. And I'd like to think that people. Now, I had some dudes that hate. Carlos Zambrano hated me. Like, he probably hit me the most of anybody. He probably hit me, 3 or 4 times. Darren Dreifer hit me a couple times. Darren Dreifer almost made the fatal mistake of hitting Andres Galarraga one too many times as well. But yeah, I mean, do you know that I can only remember being hit by a New York Met one time in my career? One time out of all the crazy things that I said in the media, out of all the big hits that I got against him, the only time that I ever got hit was, I believe, Game 6 of the '99 LCS against Al Leiter. He came out, we lit him up. I don't think he got an out. He didn't know where the ball. So I know for a fact it was unintentional. Al would never hit me on.
Do you know that right
anyway.
away if it's intentional?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. You're whenever something iffy happens in the game where it pisses the other side off, you automatically your red flags are up. Like your senses are heightened. So. 19 years against the Mets, and I think that's the only time I ever got hit.
Is the Larry thing, it became kind of funny. Is that maybe the greatest sign of respect?
I took it as such.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't get on bums. That's what they say. They don't get on bums.
How many times in your lifetime, Daryl, Reggie, Barry, I mean, like, to walk up to the plate and 40,000 people in another stadium are saying, Larry, I was like, this is awesome.
Do you know that started with like one guy from Astoria, Queens? One guy had to start that.
Hey, his real name's Larry.
Right, Stevie from Queens.
Come on, everybody, Larry.
Well,
next thing you know, 40,000.
Doggy started it. Maddox started it. And Piazza heard him call me that at an All-Star game.
Interesting.
One time. Then, like, Mike would never, he goes, I'll never call a grown man chipper. So whenever I walk to the plate, he'd go, hey, Larry. I go, hey, Michael. How you doing? And then he would go on to say, I hate this flipping song, talking about Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
And then, during 1999, they thought I was getting tipped pitches. Oral Hershiser came out and, said I was tipping pitches, or I was getting pitches tipped. We were relaying them, and then we went up there, 3 or 4 games later and did the same thing to them. So I think that pissed me off a little bit. We went up there, and I think there were 2 games left. They were 2 games back of the Reds, and I'm walking off the field. This is the infamous story. I'm walking off the field, and this guy has a split jersey, one side Mets, one side Yankees. I didn't think that was a thing in New York. You have to be one way or the other.
Pick a side, yeah.
And so, of course, they come to me after the game, and they're pretty much done. They lose a game or the Reds win a game, and their season's over. And so I basically came out and said, now all these Mets fans can go put their Yankee-ish on, and
Yeah, that'll plant the seed.
That'll plant the seed. So, of course, New York, the Mets win 2 games and the Reds lose 2 games, and we end up facing them in the league championship series. And I was thinking to myself, man, they are going to let me have it when I go back up there, and it did not disappoint. But neither did the games.
Right.
Like, it was a great series. Good for the game of baseball.
Hall of Famer Chipper Jones on with us for a few more minutes.
You got to mention the NIL deal. Did you hear about what this kid's got?
We're going to do it right now as we talk some college athletics.
The college football voice of the South is going on campus. Presented by Subaru of Gwinnett on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth, or shop online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Got to take care of the sponsors, Chris. What is this, your first day on the job?
Apologize.
Jackson Dart's the Ole Miss quarterback, and he landed a marketing deal with Nichols Air, which runs and operates private jets. As a part of the deal, Dart is going to have access to the private jets for travel, training, and if he wants to do some charity work. The door's open for him to fly to and fro. Again, everything else is second now when you talk about NIL deals.
Charity work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now,
I will say this: that's a tremendous deal. As someone who flies private every once in a while, it's easy to get spoiled at the how convenient it is.
What do you mean, like driving your car 6 steps away from?
The best is we had the chance to do it a couple times. When you come back, your car's on the tarmac waiting for you.
Yes, and you throw the guy $50 and he goes and he cleans it for you, details it for you.
How about the fact that you can bring a bottle of water on there? Like, think about that.
Bring other bottles,
they'll
too.
have a bunch of other stuff on there for you, but the idea that you could
Is the
bring
water
anything.
a mixer for the whiskey?
It sure is.
Yeah, you can bring whatever you want on, it seems.
What was the greatest perk you ever got?
Yeah, suites on the road.
Yeah, so you put that in your contract?
Yes, 100%. I had to stretch out, man. I needed some space away from my bed.
What contract was it? Was it after 99?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, so
but then they stopped doing it.
They did.
Like right towards the end of my career, they stopped doing it. I got grandfathered in because I had it, but they stopped with some of the younger guys that were signing because, I don't know.
Hotels only have a certain amount of suites, too.
Yeah. But, I mean, you think about all the guys that we had on our club who had suites, you know? So it was like, you know, Maddox, Glavin, Smoltz, me, you know, I mean, it's 4 suites, you know?
It adds up.
That's a lot of suites.
That's a good hotel, too.
But see, I like to have the guys over. Like, I would have the guys over. We would play video games. We would, you know, have a rap session. So you can't do that in a, you know, some of these.
Do players do more of that now, kind of gather in the hotel together with cell phones and everything else?
I think so. Especially the quote-unquote gamers, you know, that they get together and they play this Fortnite and all.
You go out and get blitzed. Next thing you know, somebody takes a picture and it becomes a story when it's not really a story.
100%. Which is what I did. You know, luckily we didn't have phones back then. You know, phones that could take pictures because I would have been plastered all over the.
But because you were also a guy that you were going to be awake after a game.
Yes.
Like you were a middle of the night guy.
I didn't go to sleep until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Which would have meant if you're out in the city and something's open, I might as well go out.
Yeah. And we all know how, you know, I'm never one to turn down a session of partaking a little of the sacrament.
Brown liquor.
It helps you rest a little bit. So in addition to the deal with Nichols Air, Dart also has promotions with Gillette and EA Sports, speaking of gamers. So for you, Dimino, the Gillette deal would be great. You shave your head every day, and a lot of times you carve a hole in your head.
Once every 4 to 5 months, I walk in here looking like a Rose Bowl parade float. I got toilet paper hanging off my head.
He's 20 years old. He's blonde hair. He's probably not even shaving yet.
Yeah, you're right. He just got the deal. It's sort of like saying I would like in my contract. Did you hear about this? There's no such thing as divisional MVP.
Okay.
So you can win the ALCS.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I had a couple of monster division series.
Right, and there's no MVP.
100%.
But guys, I've been told, their agents say they're putting a divisional MVP into the contract because you never know when they might actually hand out an MVP.
Better to be safe than sorry.
I agree. $50,000 for something that doesn't exist. Doesn't even exist.
So I was negotiating, in the midst of negotiating one of my contracts with John Sherholz, and I could tell this years later. I would have never been able to back in the day. But I asked him, so he comes up to me and goes, "You're going to be the highest paid player in the game." And I go, "Okay, well, what about incentives, you know?" And this was the 2000 contract that I signed. It was, I want to say, 6 years, $90 million. So it was $15 million a year.
Is that weird, everybody knowing what you make?
I don't care. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, I don't really care about the numbers itself.
Right.
But I asked him, I go, you know, is there any, you know, we got any, like, incentives, you know, like all-star games or playoff MVPs? And he looks at me, I mean, straight-faced as all get out, and he goes, "If you're making $15 million, we expect you to make the all-star team."
It's kind of a given.
MVPs. You know, I mean, it's like, and I got to thinking about that. I go, you know, he's right. I was like, we're fighting over, you know, 50,000 or 100,000 here or there. I'm making $15 million. I better be doing my job.
All right, a couple of quick things. What do you know about the possibility that Bonds was coming here?
Oh, it was a very distinct possibility. And Jim Leland was the reason it didn't happen. Like, there was a deal on the table, and Leland nixed it. He goes, "I'm out if you make this deal." And the optics of that would not have been good.
Okay, what about Rodriguez? There was talk that Alex was coming here, and then he got blown away with the offer, I guess, in Texas, probably.
Yeah, I would say I can't say that we were number 2. We weren't number 2 from a monetary standpoint. I could probably promise you that. But I think if he wasn't blown away by Texas, that we would have been a strong consideration for him. Alex and I had conversations on multiple occasions about him coming here. He asked a lot of questions about Bobby and John Sherholtz and the Clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. So I know he was pretty serious.
You know, we called Dale Murphy because Dale's number was done, retired. And Dale on the air with us said, if Alex wants it, Alex can have it. Like, we were just, I remember we called him specifically to say, hey, there's a little bit of a rumor that Alex might be coming here. You okay if he wears number 3? And, of course, he's Dale Murphy.
Without hesitation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would actually happen. I don't know that Alex would have taken it. I think he would have done the right thing and gone elsewhere. At least that's what I like to think.
33.
Yeah, something like that. 13 or whatever.
What's the one other than the incentives for the All-Star? When you heard $245 million for Alex in Dallas, what like as a player, I don't care. Like, you're getting 90, great, good for you. But you hear 245. What are you thinking?
I really was indifferent, to be honest with you.
You never peaked or cared?
No. I mean, first of all, you're talking about probably one of a top 10 talent of all time. Okay. I don't concern myself with where I stand in the pecking order of salaries. I am where I want to be. I am happy here. I am making a ish load of money, not to use Chernoff's expression again, but I'm making a boatload of money and I am content. I am happy. I want to raise as little amount of waves as possible. I want to hit third, and I want to play third for the Atlanta Braves because that's what makes me the happiest. Give me what you think I'm worth. You did that. I'm happy with it. Let's move on.
All right. In today's game, if you come up, your talent comes up. Are you hitting third in today's game? You just come up, you're whatever the young version of you.
I'm 51 years old.
Yeah, not you anymore. If you're 20.
Absolutely not.
If you're 21, 22 years old and you have your offensive ability, you hitting third?
Yes.
Why? What if a manager just tells you, well, that doesn't happen?
Because
you hit second.
Oh, what? If you want to hit me second and you're telling me that
the 22-year-old version of you in today's game.
That the most versatile most versatile hitter in your lineup hits second now instead of third.
Right.
Then I'm down for that.
But you had a thing about hitting third.
I did. Yeah, I was very comfortable.
What if you hit fourth?
I wasn't as happy. Yeah, I liked hitting third because hitting third came with a moniker. You had a leadoff hitter whose job was to get on base and wreak havoc on the bases. Number 2 hitter was a guy, very versatile hitter who hit behind runners, could bunt, could hit and run, also could run a little bit. Both of those guys get on. It is my job to hit 300 in a manner which it drives both guys in.
All right,
at one point or another.
When we come back, a couple of things about a lineup I want to ask you about, and the biggest moment prior to a couple of years ago in Braves history, where you were when the press kind of took the ball and ran with it back in '95. Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer, we'll talk to him about that and more for one more segment. The Hall of Famer in with us on Dimino and Cellini, the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Chipper Jones, the runner's break. Here's the throw from Piazza to third, not in time. It gets away. Williams sprints to the plate. He's going to score. Boone holds second. And now the 1-0 to Chipper.
God.
It hit him.
That's a cut fastball, and Chipper can't get out of the way either. Take a look. He only gets him on the right shin. Now that could smart a little bit.
You do know he survived.
12:55, Dimino, Cellini, the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. It's National Florist Day, so it's the best song about flowers. Someone chose this one. Not really tying in with Chipper getting hit against Al Leiter in the Mets.
You like Barbara.
It is what it is. So the Hall of Famer here with us for a couple more minutes. Appreciate you coming in and sitting in with us, seriously, for a couple hours.
My pleasure.
Let's go back to the opening game of the series last year against Philadelphia. I don't know why, I don't know how, but how surprised were you to see that lineup?
A little bit surprised, but, I'm sure there was – I wasn't in the clubhouse. I'm sure there was a method to the madness. Obviously, we hadn't swung the bats real well. You're talking about the first game of the series.
The first game.
Yeah, I don't know. Haven't asked Snit that question. That's y'all's job.
How did you get along with Skip Pete, Don, Joe, Ernie?
great. Loved them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would go up, take a break from the card game in the back, and I would go up just to listen to some of the banter between them. It was priceless. Like, you know, when Skip got, you know, a little boozed up, I mean, he he went after everybody, and especially like Joe, because Joe was, you know, new on the scene. But listening to him and Pete, they would be playing cards and whatnot and telling stories. It was priceless.
So David Justice calls out the fans, hits the home run. What do you remember the day that he said it, the day and the moments leading up to the game, and then that moment?
I didn't hear about it till I got to the stadium. I hadn't listened to the radio. I hadn't picked up the newspaper, you know, and there was this, even above and beyond the normal chatter of what was going on surrounding a World Series, there was a sense of, like, stunned kind of excitement, like, okay, I can't believe Dave said that. So I was like, what's going on? You know, everybody's on pins and needles right now. It's Game 6, man. Let's go. And they were like, you didn't hear what David said? You know, what was in the paper? I was like, no. And they told me, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. You know, I mean, because I'm thinking to myself here, you know, we've had this monkey on our back for so long, not me personally, but some of the older guys. And now we have to answer questions about this when we should be answering questions about, what do you think about Glav going against El Presidente? And, you know, are you going to bring the offense back to Atlanta from Cleveland? Because we swing the bats really well up there. And, you know, now it's, what do you think about David's comments? So it really was a distraction. It could not have worked out any better, because I will tell you this about David. You could say he was militant. You could say he was outspoken, and those are all true. But I want that guy at the plate with the game on the line, because he wants to stick it to anybody who hates on him. And, boy, he got hated on that night. And just like he said in the special afterwards, he goes, when they announced my name, when I walked up to the plate for the first time, there were a lot of boos. He goes, but I heard a couple people clapping, you know, and I'm gonna help us win this game for those people that I heard clapping. So even though he was negative, sometimes he had a tendency to pull the positive out.
Non-teammate edition. You can't pick a teammate, anybody you played with, ever. That one at bat, who do you want? Of all the guys that you've seen, you get that one
Ever?
Of all the guys you've seen, you have one at bat. You can't pick a teammate. Who are you putting up?
With or against?
So it's Barry?
I'd have to go Tony Gwynn. Yeah. And I will say Barry's the best baseball player I've ever seen. But I want the ultimate pro at bat at the ultimate time, and that's Tony Gwynn.
And you know his numbers against.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Three here.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Never struck out. Like, Doggy never struck him out. Never struck him out. I think I want to say any of the three of them, maybe, or two of the three. I can't remember which one it was.
His numbers were outstanding against all three. To Chris's point.
Did you watch you ever watch his BP? Were you a guy who wanted to see?
I'm sure I did. I didn't make it a point. Most of the time, must-see batting practice is reserved for
Do you like the way the BP is run now? You don't have to go on the field. It's not mandatory. You can go do it in the cage. They used to just have this routine where they had you guys out there and it was the same. And, you know, hitting BP home runs is not impressive. Like, at a certain point, you go, okay, are we really trying to do anything? Yeah, but are we really trying to do anything here today?
I would basically, the only time I would ever hit a ball out of the ballpark would be to center field or the opposite way, continuing what I was working on the first couple of rounds. Like, you know, there's a reason why Freddie Freeman never hits a ball right of second base in batting practice. That's because he was under my wing for the first, 5 or 6 years or 3 or 4 years of his career. And I'm telling him, you have to learn that swing right there. And that's what we worked on. We were working on muscle memory so that when that pitch comes in the game, we just react to it. We don't have to really try.
Non-teammate edition, who's the guy you want on the mound?
I'm gonna give my boys some credit. I'm gonna go Clemens first, and I'd probably say Smoltz is second.
Did you like Lester? Did we have a conversation about Lester?
Yes, Lester's a bulldog, man. I love that guy. I would have loved for him to have been here in Atlanta. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I mean, we had serious discussions about him, but that is a guy, like, much like Sale, like, they're not out there to make friends. They are looking to shove it up your rear end.
Like last year, if Bryce Harper does that and Chris Sale's on the mound, Chris Sale may hit Bryce Harper the next time up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or, first at bat this year.
That's something to look forward to.
You gotta get him when you gotta get him.
Let me tell you something right now. Chris Sale is here to help us beat Harper, Schwarber, Stott in Philly, and Freddie and Ohtani in L.A. That's why he's here, and we just need him to be upright and healthy going into October, and we'll see how it all pans out.
Chipper, always a pleasure having you in. The door is always open. They're going to put you to work. You got to sign some baseballs.
Enjoy.
It's for the kids.
Listen, it does beat the hell out of standing around a pool guy going, "Hey, I'm just wondering if you have no idea how they're building a pool, right?"
It has been impressive to watch.
Trust me, I have one, and they did it, and I don't know. I had no idea throughout the process how it was going to turn out. I could not envision it.
Amazing, and how fast it happens, too. So.
All right, Chip. Good to see you.
Love you guys. Y'all be good.
Thanks, Chip.
Best to the family. Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer, here with us. When we come back, like we said earlier, it could be the most unexpected spring conversation we'll ever have. Your NBA Minute is next.